Hello and welcome to Teasing the NFL. This is your place for NFL teaser bets. I'm Daniel Saluto along with Andrew Chang here. Welcome to part 4 of our NFL teaser betting series here. We've gone through how to bet an NFL game, how to bet teasers, and then going into key numbers. And now a fourth one. The fourth part of this series is going through scheduling, and this is part of Andrew's handicapping that's very important to him, a little bit important to me, and we'll get into those discussions. But I'll let Andrew tee this up and tell him how important scheduling is for you when you're betting.
All right, kiddos, listen up. School's in session. Headmaster Chang is here. So,
Yes,
scheduling, right? So, football is played on Thursday, Thursday,
Yep.
Sunday, Monday.
Yes.
Usually, as a team, we're not so big on the Thursday night game. Sometimes the matchups are a little juicy, so we might bet that, might not. But I'm going to primarily focus on what I like to call the football weekend, which goes into Sunday and Monday. Now, games start at noon, I guess, for Central Time,
That's
which is us. And for me, I like to wake up, set my fantasy football line, check up all the updates, and it's very imperative, I think, if Danny wants to cover this too, sometimes just to see where they're playing, some injuries, and definitely the weather. That kind of plays a hidden factor in some of these bets. Now, the way scheduling comes about is that, let's say there's a couple juicy matchups for the noon games, which are about like, what, 4 or 6 games?
What?
Noon?
It depends. It depends. Sometimes it's 4 to 8 games.
Yeah, it just depends. So if there's something I like in the noons, I'll just be like, okay, I'll start betting the Sunday noon games, right? And let's just say it all pans out. I win some money. I win 2 out of 2. So I'm like, great, awesome. So now here comes the afternoon games, usually around 3 to 3:30.
Yep.
Whatever. So these are usually 2 games, and it's just like, I've already have money in my pocket from the first win, and I feel I'm a little more conservative when it comes to bets, which is kind of crazy seeing my record. But, you know, if I have money in my pocket, it's like, okay, I'm kind of going to bet this for fun, unless it's just a value that I can't pass up.
Yep.
So let's just say it's the latter version, and it's just value that I can't pass up. Then I'm going to bet those 2 afternoon games, okay? And let's say that's a different scenario. I have the money in my pocket from the noon games, and I only like one of these afternoon games. Then I'll just really kind of pause, take a look at myself, and I'll probably see, hey, what's going on Sunday night? Let's see who's playing Sunday night. And if I like a matchup that I can smash, then yes, I'll bet one of the 3 afternoon games with that Sunday primetime game, and I'll just make a bet out of that. I'll make a good teaser out of that. So it's really just like, if you don't have to bet, you shouldn't bet.
Yeah, don't push it.
If there's a great value, or you're just really confident that this team's gonna make it, and I like the line, and dude, I'm on a hot streak sometimes you can push the envelope and be like, you know what? It's going to be a great weekend for me. So hopefully, all in all, everything goes right. Everything's good. But let's say it doesn't, right? Let's say I just lost my booty off, and it is just as flat as this table right here. I said, God, man, I got to get myself out of the hole, Danny. So we have something called, we like to coin a lot of terms here at Teasing the NFL.
Yes, we do.
We have what we call a last stand game.
Yeah, the last stand bet. It is notorious for one of us here, a little bit for the other person, but somebody likes to make a last stand depending on how the schedule goes for that weekend.
So apparently the last stand is, very self-explanatory. It is the last game of the week. Your last chance to bet before the next Thursday game, which happens to be Monday night, prime time. And there's also like a lot of follies in here. Let's say if Kirk Cousins was playing on Monday night, then for sure, like, hey man, I'm just gonna put whatever I own against Kirk Cousins.
He did disprove it last season.
He did, and I think
he's still terrible on Monday night.
Right, but when it's like 2 to 8, like who's really counting?
Yeah.
You know, so when it's things like that, and sometimes you're just like, well, I lost 4. What's another 1? I'll just make it an even 100, or I'll just gain 100 back. So it's just one of those, and sometimes, poker people like us call it going on tilt.
Yep.
So sometimes your judgment is cloudy. That's why we don't really recommend the last stand bet. But for me, since I'm an opportunist, I have to do it. I mean, not have to. If
It's very tempting. Is what it is.
Like I said, the number one rule is if you won and you don't need to win anymore, you don't have to. That's a win right there. Keep the money in your pocket. But if you want to push the envelope, if you got some room to make up for, then yeah, you could definitely bet the last Monday night game.
So one of the keys with Andrew is that because he likes to take care of business early, what that means for him is that he doesn't necessarily like betting across different times. He wants to basically segregate his noon bets only with noon bets, late afternoon with late afternoon bets, and primetime bets with primetime bets. Andrew doesn't very often bet across different times. I will, looking for the best value. So I'll bet a noon game. I have no issue betting a noon game and then a Monday night game. He's actually done it too. Andrew likes to get it done early, because one thing he doesn't want to do, and I understand why people do this, and I don't agree, because I don't care. Yeah, it's about time. He's like, all right, part 1's done, and he's like, man, I gotta wait another over 18 hours for my next part of my teaser to hit.
That is so hard.
So it's tough for people.
Know that you're halfway there and you're just waiting and you're just like, oh God. And then the look of disappointment on your face where you waited from Sunday noon to Monday night only to lose on Monday night. Just record yourself doing that. You'll just see it's like, oh God, it hurts so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, and actually going into scheduling, Danny has this wonderful thing that he introduced me last year to make us better bettors. And it's called a sandwich game. Now, go ahead and elaborate that.
So that goes into the larger scheme of scheduling. So we've gone from the day of scheduling, and now we move over to the actual full week, not full week, but the full NFL schedule. So a lot of times you'll have really good teams, and it's not uncommon for them to play good teams and bad teams. That's just how the schedule goes, because not every team's going to be the same. So it's not uncommon for, let's say, Tampa Bay, for example. They play
Green Bay.
Yeah, we'll put them playing against Green Bay one week, and then the next game after that is a game against, I'm going to laugh at this, Chicago.
The Texans? Oh.
Chicago.
Oh, okay.
They play Chicago, and then after Chicago, let's say they have to play New Orleans. So you have a strong team, a weak team, and a strong team. So you have 2 strong teams on the outside with a weak team in the middle. And this is called a sandwich because the bulk of the meat in the middle of 2 pieces of bread of the sandwich is generally going to be a weaker team. So a lot of times what happens is that the really strong team, for example, my Steelers are terrible at sandwich games. They always play down to their competition. So it's always looking at the schedule and seeing hey, this is an opportunity where the big heavy favorite, who maybe, let's just say, maybe they would be +9 -9. Let's say Tampa Bay is a -9 favorite. You look at them and saying, oh, they might look a week ahead to New Orleans. It's a divisional game. It's a tough game for them to play against, and they're away. So you look at that and say, hey, they could take this game against Chicago really easy and then only be focusing on the next week. So that's where you're looking at the schedule and looking at, oh man, this is an opportunity I could bet the underdog, tease them up, get some really good value out of it. So there's other things like that that are key in the grand scheme of an entire NFL season. Look for those. One of the other things we like to look for now are bye weeks and teams coming off bye weeks. So one of the most notorious teams to bet, or specifically coaches to bet on after a bye week, is Andy Reid. The Chiefs, he's something like 80+% against the spread. It's a beautiful thing. We've bet him a couple times already. And
right.
So look at teams coming off of a bye. Also look for teams that are playing multiple road games, especially if they're going from the West Coast to East Coast or East Coast to West Coast. It happened in San Francisco last season. They had a bunch of games in New York or on the West Coast, and they had to travel, go back. So if you figure out. I mean, and that's a lot of travel. We
Right.
both have traveled like that before. It's tiring after a while, and then you're an athlete, so it's even harder. So keep news on that, because some teams will travel back and forth. Some teams will just make base camp and say, we're just gonna stick here for 3 weeks and just play all our games out here.
Right, and what we're telling you is very real. I mean, if you don't believe it, I mean, I can pull out so many experiences out of my head. I vividly remember one, and that was when the Texans just walked into the Patriots' house. I think they were undefeated at the time, and we gave them the first loss. And then the following week, we played a weak, super
the
weak
Broncos?
Denver team. Yes,
The Broncos?
even you remember. and you're
Because
not
it
a
was Drew
Texans
Lock.
fan.
Because it was Drew Lock. I remember.
And they lit us up like a Christmas tree. It was so terrible. I was there sitting at a Mexican restaurant just watching my cheese get cold and just be like, what am I doing? Like, why did I bet on this game? I thought it was it. And you know what? That was a sandwich game. That was a sandwich game. I think the Texans had I don't know. I really didn't care who they played after the Broncos, because at that time I was just like, oh my God, like, how are we losing to this sorry team? And it happens.
It happens.
So it's very real, guys. I'm telling you.
So keep an eye on the day of, looking at your teasers day of. Don't be afraid to tease across different times or stick to your time like he does. And then look ahead of your schedule throughout the season to see where there are weak spots, where you're coming off bye, or how much travel is happening. So those are all keys when it comes to your schedule, the NFL schedule, and the teams that you're betting on. Those are very key. But if you enjoyed the content you got in this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, subscribe, tick the notification bell, and select all. That way you stay up to date with all of our latest videos and previews for the rest of the season. Stay tuned. We have a season preview coming up. Stay tuned for that. It'll be coming up very, very soon. Let us know how important scheduling is for you when you are betting your NFL bets and teaser bets. But until then, make sure you get your bets in. And of course, don't forget to be a tease.